morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's about to go to afternoon now, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. How are you, everyone? Good.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. You had a good break.
Yeah, thank you.
So, as we had the last session done for workplace policies and procedure, and we'll start with winding up the questions from the previous session so we can feel a bit connected. And in previous session we have talked about the policies and procedure. If you guys remember,
Yes.
how important you think is policy procedure for workplace?
Yeah,
Oh,
very
good,
good.
yeah, puts
Yeah.
everyone on the same page as well, so that there's a level of safety in the
Yeah.
organisation.
It's like a foundation key for all the workplace, so then according to that they follow the rules and regulations, and then we talk about like how every organization have their own policies and procedure. If you go with the nurses have their own way of working, and hairdressers we have our own policies and procedure, and they are great help because in that way the company knows how many people are coming in and out all the time. Even though during this session we know we had to check in and check out who comes and who goes. So all those policy procedures are in place for people to be feeling safe and secure when they work. So today's session we're gonna talk about equipment checks, how we make sure when we are in a workplace, whatever the equipment we are having, how we check and make sure all the measurements are in a place. But I will be more focusing about the first aid kit. So we'll talk about a bit more in a briefing about the first aid kit and what's are in contain, and how we check their expiry date, how to write the list if an incident happen and report, and all those small things in that kit. But before we go to this special first aid kit, we can talk about a little bit. There are different type of equipment in every workplace has it, such as fire extinguisher, and then we will have different type of machinery, maybe equipment in your nursing team. What sort of major equipment in your workplace you think?
In intensive care there's heaps, so we've got ventilators, we've got dialysis
Yeah.
machines, we've got electric beds, we've got ceiling hoists, we've got normal hoists,
Yeah.
we've got
All of them.
loads, yeah.
And
loads of
it's
stuff.
very important whoever join in the workplace to train them, especially the person who is working in your sector. Intensive care, they need to know how everything works, so
Yeah.
they make sure they can help and work right. So, and what else do you think, Tracy, in your workplace the important?
Important, I think, for us is the electrical, because obviously of all the different tools, hair dryers, big colour development, chromosome machines, straighteners, tools, a lot of that. So that's big. But then of course we've got scissors, so sharp objects, and chemicals. So
Yeah.
you know, there's quite a variation of
Yeah.
what you said.
Yeah, so because even though we're using electric scissors or even equipment in your intensive care, everything plays a health and safety role, right? So if you got the electric, especially with the hairdressing,
Yeah.
if you put the timer longer for the color application, what will happen? It might just
Yeah.
give a reaction to the client, is
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it can swirl, the color can swirl on the scalp, and it might have major problem. We don't even think
Yeah.
how important it is for a person to know to run the equipment right.
Yeah.
Right? And same with the dialysis machine. It's important to know the time frame to set it for person who's doing the dialysis. Right? So as we all know, any kind of equipment we run, we need to know how they place and how they work efficiently. So person who is on the duty, they can take care of the product and the patient and everybody else. There is a little video, I'm gonna play it in just to see which will explain how equipment was important in the workplace. And we can go from there.
Bleeding emergencies can include injuries such as amputation of a body part, severe loss of blood from the chest or abdomen, impaled objects, or internal bleeding. All of these are serious and life-threatening injuries. In each of them, it's important to call for emergency medical care and provide first aid to try to slow the loss of blood or otherwise help the person. The first aid you'll provide will be different depending on the injury, however. In this course, you'll learn the first aid to provide for several types of bleeding emergencies.
Wow.
Great. There was some missing out there. That's it.
I like the screwdriver that had bandage round.
That's it.
That's a
So
technique
make
I
us-
haven't used before. I must say.
This is a little being beheaded.
See, at least it can make you laugh. Alright, so in this little video we have able to see how that little first aid kit can be really important at workplace. Any small injury such as like a bandage or anything cut, any open mouth, we can confirm.
Yeah.
And then or if there is a larger problem, we can make sure we have the facility to accommodate all those problems, right? And before we go further, it's important to know what kind of equipment or stuff we can have it in our first aid kit. Small places may, one second. In small places, the first aid kit can contain a small things such as bandage and something to wrap up and some eye cleaning, sterilize, and such as little things to clean the stuff from the fingers. But big places such as in some environment like nursing and stuff, they always have wider range of the kits so they can accommodate everything. In aged care sector, they will have their own larger scale of first aid kit, and wherever the first aid kit is being provided, there's always a big sign. So then, if something is happen, people can go and get the help out of it. So, what do you think? Why first aid kit is important in workplace, Tracy?
Well, definitely for any open wounds, you need to address any injuries immediately. So, from my workplace, I'd say any cuts, they need to be sanitised, disinfected, and wrapped up to prevent infection and anything spreading, but also it going from bad to worse, basically.
Yeah, that's right. And what do you think, Nick? Why it is important to?
I think it's so that you can respond quickly. So we bring first aid kits with us in the community. So if we're visiting an older person at home,
Yeah.
we need to bring a first aid kit with us at all times. So you never know what's going to happen in their home environment.
And I think even these days when people are traveling a lot from longer run of the workplaces, they even have their small kits ready in their cars and stuff, just in case something happens, so they can.
That emergency response is that can be, your first port of call really. Can be
It's part of our procedure to have one that's mobile on every residential site.
Yeah.
So it can't be fixed to the wall or anything. You have to be able to pick it up, take it physically with
I
you,
see.
right? So if someone's bleeding out on the floor,
you can
they hit their head, they're bleeding, you can
Yeah,
take the
it's
kit
a
with
little
you.
portable. Okay,
So
Take
portable
it
one
out.
is important, isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
right,
So
we have to.
yeah.
yeah.
So
That makes
yeah.
sense.
And as we know, when we use those first kit, it's just the first response for any minor or major event happen. So first aid kit is something we able to go through, and then later on we call for assistance to help, anything with a bigger scale, any ambulance or until they arrive, first aid play a vital role for that, because in those kits we can contain different kind of bandages which can help for the person. And And then it's also important, what other stuff you think it could be good for having a first aid kit? We can record the data in that small kit, even the small minor injuries. We can write it down on the diary. So then it's good for the workplace people. If anything happen in smaller scale, they can able to know.
Yeah. Back to,
like an accident book.
Yeah, like a little accident book. Okay, so with the first aid kit, we will go through. I will have a first aid kit to show what's contained in there, and then I'll probably pass it on to you guys to have a look. Because once we open that kit, we will check to make sure what stuff is needed. There's a little checklist to go through, and then we can check the expiry date. Make sure we don't have anything in there expired, just in case if any emergency comes, and then we are not using the expired product on somebody, and that could be more life threatening if somebody has the expired product, right? And later on in that kit we will talk about how to do the reports and stuff. Anyways, here I will open that kit up so you guys can have a look, and then I can demonstrate a little bit what's included in there, and then you can show me how to write the reports and stuff like that. Okay, this is the kit we designed for just for the small environment. So say for example with a hairdressing salon or when we are studying environment, we don't carry the larger scale of the first aid kit. So therefore we carry just a small kit, but it has all the initial stuff in there to carry. There is some bandage to do. There is a little diary to record any incident we have. So then we know what happened, and when it happened. We make sure there is a pen in, and there is a little sheet where we making sure that it contains the basic first aid information leaflet. So it will give you more idea what kind of danger when we are in, and then we are using that first aid kit, and how to it codes like R, D, R, S, A, B, C. They are the codes. I would like you guys to have a look on those little things.
Doctor's ABC. I think I
Yeah.
might know that. Yeah. That's part of the manual competencies each year.
You have to do,
Yeah, make sure you
You have to actually know the acronym.
update it.
That's right.
And I bet
Sorry?
it used to
Used to do.
extend
Annually,
it, doesn't it?
Yeah, we
That's
have to
right.
teach it annually for
You
everybody.
have to,
Yeah,
And
and you get assessed as well.
Yeah, I
because
guess
then
as
it
well.
helps you
Yeah.
to
We do it
respond
for
to
each other all
emergencies, because
and we
the D is actually you need to check for danger.
we
So when you see that
cover
danger level, just
this
you need to make sure that it's safe.
and
You've got to actually know that.
Richie, would this be the one you leave in your car as well?
Yeah. So there's a one bigger one we had contained with more stuff in there, and then the small one when we got in the car, just for the case of emergency. So the list will contain a little bit. There's a little more video to show. It's just a small video which will cover why first aid kit are important in a workplace and why to have it. I'll let you watch that. It's only for a minute and a half, so it won't take too long to finish. And then we can open the first aid kit and we will have a look around what's contained.
Accidents happen. Someone chokes on an ice cube or gets stung by a bee. It is important to know when to call 911. It is for life-threatening emergencies.
As you know, some of the videos are all around it for America and this, but we are Australia, so we will calling it. No, so forget about the 911.
While waiting for help to arrive, you may be able to save someone's life.
Cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, is for people whose hearts or breathing has stopped, and the Heimlich maneuver is for people who are choking.
You can also learn to handle common injuries and wounds. Cuts and scrapes, for example, should be rinsed with cool water. To stop bleeding, apply firm but gentle pressure using gauze. If blood soaks through, add more gauze, keeping the first layer in place. It is important to have a first aid kit available. Keep one at home and one in your car. It should include a first aid guide. Read the guide to learn how to use the items, so you are ready in case an emergency happens.
So that's the basic thing we are going to do. We're just simply reading all the stuff in the first aid kit. So then we know if any case of emergency happen within the scale, we can able to help somebody while there's a bigger help is on the way. So we start from looking at another set is day.
Depends on what to do with scans and electric shock.
So we'll give you guys one probably and try Agichi and stuff that you guys can come along because I will be helping some in
You
there.
want us to join?
You can join them.
I'm going to start your kit.
Yeah.
So let's have a look.
There you go.
It's quite expensive ones to do, so they're quite very expensive to keep up to date. Or every it expires. So buying
Yeah.
this stuff for
Because even
12
though
teams every year,
Yeah.
it's very expensive.
yeah, even though the majority of time we not use everything in those first aid kit, right? So it's important to know some certain things need to be checked in once in a while. So if those first aid kits are conduct trainings on from their training thing. Okay, so
Plastic thing.
if you look at this thing, what do you think by looking at that?
As a saline.
With saline.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Clean
eye,
for
yeah,
the-
clean, or maybe if you've got some stuff in your eye, there might be some eye drops in here, but.
Or maybe
Yeah.
it's
This is a
one
really
of them, or a
good
bruise.
dose of saline.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a really good, just in case some color spill on the hairdressing
Yeah.
point, you can quickly wash with this
Yeah.
with saline spray or in hairdressing, in the nursing while you are
One for points.
treating the maybe open wound, and then you can
Yeah.
need blood or anything
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
you
some people
feel
they get like sand or something and you like you
Yeah.
can like rinse it through so it's
Rinse
not gonna
it
do any
through,
harm.
yeah.
Is we
Not a
put
lot of
for an
nails.
intro?
Yeah.
And
And then moving there, we have this is the really good little packet of the disposable gloves, guys.
Oh,
in
yeah?
that little kit.
Yeah.
So that one is just in case if you are using any sharp stuff, and you make sure that you put the gloves on and then dispose the sharp. So
That is sterile.
so they are the really
Oh, yeah,
latex
or,
gloves. I think one is there.
Or body fluids and stuff as well, you want to get gloves on,
Can I
don't you?
just ask, what is that?
This is when you got the small thorn.
Splinter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that will help you too if you get into the thorn or if anything go into the first layer of your skin.
Oh, I can see now. Actually, you put it out. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And the tweezers.
And that's a really interesting thing what I found in those kits.
Bandages.
They are pretty much loaded with everything. They go little earbud even.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That is that
So maybe just
a
clean.
little small-
Yeah, just to clean that one. So then if there's smaller one but it went deep, you cleaning with that little sprint
Mm-hmm.
and then clean it out. Use the sterling wipe before you do the dressing.
Yeah.
You can clean all the open wound.
Mhm.
So it's important when we do the first aid kit check.
Yeah.
It's important to open that kit and make sure go through with every single ingredients are products are in there. They
Yes.
make sure if they have any expiry date, you always have a look, go through, and then put on the side.
And can I ask,
To do that, you'll need to be online.
thank you, Siri.
Sure thing.
Siri, what is an adhesive island dressing?
Oh, I can tell you what that is.
He is going
You
to
can,
tell you.
you can
Yeah.
turn off that CD
So-
card.
It's
My
got
inside
an
is-
island in it that won't stick to your wound, but it sticks around the outside of it. So you want to have, you
Yeah.
don't want to put something sticky on your wound because when you take it off,
Yeah,
you're going
it
to take the
brings-
scab off,
Yeah.
and that's what's protecting it. So yeah, so
And that little one is this one is
gauze.
gauze.
Yeah, that's for black cleaning and stuff.
There.
Yeah.
And there's another one. That's the one. Majority of them have the expiry date on it.
Mm.
You just have to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one is expired 30th of the 10th, 2026.
Yeah.
So you
So
know that, you
if
know that it's in
anything-
date.
So in this first aid kit, if you think anything is expired, of course, when we are checking the whole idea is for this session is to, when you go to your workplaces, and when you're conducting a first aid kit check, so make sure every single item you will looking at them, and the one has expiry on it, you just have to put separate. Once you put the separate, you have to write the note of that separate item, and then let the manager know to replace, so then your first aid kit is always being up to date all the time, and you are not using any expired product in this.
Yeah.
And this is the really another good one to use for the burns, for the minor burns, of course.
Yeah.
So that can be also helpful for people. And to check the expiry date, you can have a look on what you think.
The expiry date, sometimes they're very tricky to read.
Yeah, some of them,
when-
they doesn't.
Yeah, when you look down the very bottom, so yeah, expires. So this one is 2027, so we're in date as well.
Yours is expired, okay.
that's
it's
all right.
expired.
Yeah.
So that's good, so we would
Yeah.
write it in the book.
Yeah,
when
That's
we-
it.
and
So
you
once
burn
he,
it.
there are some items are expired in those
Yeah.
first aid kit,
But that's
and
good.
put it on purposely, so then you
Yeah.
guys can identify
Sponsored, yeah.
That's
the
good.
hazard, and then we can just
Yeah.
know how to
What to replace.
replace
Yeah.
it,
Well,
right?
sometimes a good thing as well is, this is what we do at work, is that the thing that's going to expire first, you put that date down. So then you know that everything else is past that. So if that's in a year's time, then you know that you don't necessarily have to check every little expiry date
Yeah.
unless you're using a piece of that equipment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you know,
Yes,
'cause
yeah,
otherwise
ahead of
it's
time.
very time consuming to
Yeah.
check every
Oh, yeah,
bench or
that-
desk.
yeah. That would be
Well, someone's
that would be
burned.
the part of the person's duty who is to have a job to do this first aid check
Yeah.
kit signed off by
Yes.
the person. Not
Yeah.
everybody, of course, not a single staff is gonna look for the first aid kit. It's just a particular person's job. Once in a 3 month, they will sit down, they will go through with everything and make sure they have up to date kit ready for the staff to help them. All right. Moving forward, we'll have a small activity where we'll just like, it's not any questionnaire anything, by looking at couple of things. Would like to share the info, what you guys think, what kind of bandages are designed for what situation to handle. Say for
If you
example,
get this wrong, we're in trouble.
you better be doing that.
Hang on.
Can we go back to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can, it's just like, say for example, if Ogechi has, just create a just roughly scenario. If Ogechi has hurt her eye while she was doing something at workplace, and the chemical spill on her eye while she was changing the cleaning product from one can to the other. So what do you think, Tracy? How would you address, and what sort of
Okay.
bandage it would be good idea for her to
Right. I
We
would,
have it.
I would firstly do the saline solution, just to make sure she's all clean and
I'm just gonna leave to you so you can have a look.
okay. I would do saline, then I would make sure that's thoroughly cleaned out. Just check it in case there's any grit or anything in there. I would use the lie bud or an earbud if I had to just take anything out of it. And then I would put an eye patch on her, an iPad rather, because that's the right shape for that.
Yeah.
Not like the square. And then I would use the tape that we had, the little tape, do that, and my little scissors, just to cut the tape and just put that on her.
Yeah, that's right. So, and then if any more emergency you think is on she needed, then you call 000, or if she's happy getting assistance from her home, and then she can just call the help from the family. She can be going.
And I would record it all in the
On
Oh,
this
okay.
one. Yeah.
and I would make sure that this is in date.
Yeah.
What I'm
Yeah,
gonna put on
before,
her.
even though when we are in a rush, often staff don't look at the expiry product. They are just want to help the other person. That's why it's important when we look at those product, they are all up to date and maintained. So then when you are in a rush, you are not checking all those. You are just going and helping straight in that case, right? And for you, New and
Yes, what have we got?
Dee,
Dun, dun,
just in
dun.
case if while she's working, I just put a scenario like while she's working at workplace, she has she had injured her. She got a big wound. She cut her finger bit, and the wound has gone a bit deeper than the normal. So what do you think as a first thing respond will you do?
Are you going to respond?
Look, I would think you would want to stop the bleeding. I would think if it was a deep wound, there'd be lots of bleeding, and you'd want to put pressure on the wound to stop the bleeding. So I would look at finding if there's enough gauze. I'd probably use something like that. If it's something quite wet, you'd want to, like a very oozing wound, you'd probably want to wet it first so it doesn't adhere. Apply pressure. Stop the bleeding, call for help.
Yeah, that's it. Those things are just when you are in need of somebody's help. But
Yes.
but for the first aid kit to be checked, make sure you are again checking the right product for you. If you need any cleaning, because sometimes, of course, when the cuts are deep, you feel like running in the water, under the water, and then you want to clean with your sterile.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Depends.
How
Well,
depend on what.
Yes, true. But I think if someone's got a deep cut and it's bleeding a lot, the first thing you want to do is to stop the bleeding. So if you're putting it underwater or trying to clean it out, then they're losing more blood. So you want to minimise the amount of blood that they're losing. So that would be putting pressure on it, and you'd use probably one of your pressure bandages, and you would do it quite firm, not so they should hopefully still be able to feel, but you do it firmly. And then you can even look at things that like maybe trying to elevate or whatever. But if it's really deep and they're losing a lot of blood, you need to get them out of there, I reckon. So because otherwise they can go into shock.
That's it. That's why you need those kind of big bandages for the deep cuts, because the small bandages and stuff is only designed for the small cuts and stuff like that. And then what happens if you find in your first aid kit somebody forget to update stuff on that, and then you don't have available this.
Well, you could use a scarf or something, whatever, whatever. If you can just cover it up with something to try and keep it clean, but you could use like a scarf, or even sometimes if you've got
something like a cotton based,
or even sometimes if you've got like masking tape or something like that, you could use that just to try and get like a little bit of pressure on it, or get someone to hold it. Like hopefully they might be able to hold it, or get someone else to maybe hold it if they're feeling a bit woozy. Maybe get them to lie down as well if there's a lot of blood, so that's gonna stop them from fainting. So
in the community we use towels, or encourage to use towels. If they've got a linen cupboard, often they've got clean towels in there. We we're encouraged to use that.
Mm.
We've got a large surface area we can use to
Yeah.
to cover.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
So these will cover in for us, make sure the kits are up to date and you
Mhm.
know how to use it.
Mhm.
And there's always trainings provided by the work organization people.
Mm.
One more scenario we can put, just say for example, somebody got the burnt from using a hot, making a cup of tea for the customer or something, and they got burnt their finger out from there with the hot water, and you by accidentally you could just pick up the stuff from the first aid and realize later on it's expired. What would be your reaction on it?
I guess you try and use something that wasn't expired because you don't know whether there might be some sort of a chemical reaction from an expired thing. So you would have to maybe think outside of the box a little bit, like if
Yeah.
someone's burnt themselves on hot water, run it under cold water if you can, and just keep that going. Or if that, you can get like an ice pack, that sort of stuff. So yeah, rather than using an expired
Yeah,
product,
but what happens sometimes if you pick that up and the person who was supposed to be updating the first aid kit did not check that, and you use the expired one without knowing it's expired. So what will be the case? Of course, then you will quickly call the 000 and or call them and let the manager know, just in case if somebody has the reaction of it. So then
yeah,
they
you can bring up the
you know,
poisons and information.
yeah,
I guess they
just
could
to
let you know.
just for the safe side.
yeah,
Because by not knowing this is expired, you try to help the person,
yeah.
but later on you come to know, oh my god, that was not the product
Yeah.
I was about to use. Just
And that might be something that you could escalate as well as
Yeah.
part of,
then you when
risk
you
and
will be
assessment.
when you will be writing on your sheet, and then you will be telling that happened, and make sure raise the incident to the management team so that these things cannot be happening in future again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much covered with our first aid kit, and we're going back to our objectives. So from this session, I hope you guys have I hope you will cover to find out the equipment in the one workplace and talk about the first aid kit, why that first aid kit is important in a workplace, why that is important to check all the expiry items need to be first out and then updated on the regular basis. And keeping a record is another thing we have covered up to make sure whatever the injury and incident happen, we recorded, whether they are minor level or the major level, everything has to be recorded. So then the person who are going to investigate later on, they know what to do. I hope this session has covered all that. Any question you guys have for me?
No, I think that was all very thorough and clear.
Thank you. Okay, no worries. Thank you so much for
Thank
having me
you.
here, and then we will be attending a third session, which we'll call like incident report. Fill it out the form, and we'll be doing that just later on.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
How many minutes?
There you go.
Risha, thank you.